Radio is so intimate. It's you and a microphone. Even my engineers aren't there messing with me at night. Everything is set, and it's just me and a microphone.
Hello, good evening. Welcome to the Delilah Show. What can I do for you tonight?
Let me tell you, my girlfriend and I, her name is Danielle, we've been together for about 10 months now, and I'm getting ready to ask her the big question.
The show that I do is different than anything else you'll hear on radio because it's real. They're real people who call with real situations, and then I pick a song that lyrically goes with that situation and kind of give it back to you on the air as a gift. If you were to Google Delilah and find a true portrait of who I am, it would probably say mother, grandmother, radio host, artist, farmer, cook, hairstylist, and collector of really strange things. So this is my paradise. I grew up on a farm, and I have always wanted to have my hands back in the dirt. And so I needed space to breathe, to raise dogs and horses and chickens and kids. I had no idea I'd be raising this many kids. I've been a mom for a very long time. So my oldest is 32 and my youngest is 7. And then I have 9 grandkids as well. So being a mom is my biggest job. Being on the air has been a part of my life, as I said, for over 37 years. You know, somebody will call and go, I'm going through a divorce and I found out that my husband cheated. I'm like, yeah, I got the book, got the t-shirt, come on, take a deep breath. We're going to get through this together. So I don't feel like I've got a lot of stuff between me and the audience, and I can just be honest and I can be authentic. And I love our medium. I think radio allows you to be so much more creative. You know, the spoken word is powerful. Queen of Sappy Love Songs is my official title. I've been doing this radio show, taking your requests and dedications and playing love songs for 27 years, last September.
You're truly an angel from heaven and a miracle worker for both my girlfriend and I.
Trust me, honey, I am not an angel. If I've done any miracles, they've not been me but God. But thank you for the kind words.
Probably the biggest misperception of me is when people know that I love the Lord or hear me talking about God and they automatically label me as a bad person or an idiot or, you know, a Tammy Faye Baker with fake tears and false eyelashes, and that has nothing to do with who I am. My faith is a part of me. It's the reason that I live and breathe and do what I do. It's the reason that I get up every morning. But don't think that because I love the Lord, you're going to label me like somebody that has been unkind to you or hurtful to you. Like, people will meet me and they'll hear me like maybe say a word or two that starts with a D. And they'll go, I thought you were uptight. And I'm like, are you serious? I have teenagers. Okay, I try to delete all the Eminem songs that drop the F-bomb, but I'm not that way at all.
Okay. Well, it gives me great pleasure to introduce to you somebody that I've known for almost 30 years now. Incredible. And people always ask me, is she as passionate off the radio that she is on the radio? The question is, if you can believe it, she's more passionate off the radio. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together all together. I want you to sing the jingle, Delilah. Put your hands together for Delilah.
Delilah. Wow. What a nice.
You are at home, my dear. You are at home.
Hi, everybody. How many of you hear me at night and think, wow, she's so nice.
Are we about to know something about you?
She's so mellow. She's so relaxing.
I heard you were in some happy traffic.
A little bit.
Miami style.
Miami style happy traffic, yeah. I wasn't so nice. I wasn't so mellow. Get out of my way!
So was it the same Delilah that will be making the dedications tonight?
Oh,
On the
please
radio.
get out of my way. Please. Please, car that stopped and has absolutely no reason to be sitting there, please just stay there.
Well, they are already giggling. Obviously, you are very well loved. You are honestly one of the women that I personally most admire. And I think that everybody here admires. They took of their time for Saturday to come here and meet you. And it's because you really are all of that for all of us.
Thank you.
So I think it's important. You have been on the radio at least 30 years,
At least
right? Now,
a little more. Yeah, Gary was like 14 when I first met him.
was Gary always as handsome and quick-witted as he is now?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I think he's kind of, especially in this format, mellowed out a little bit. But yeah, he's so charming.
A little firecracker?
He was, and he's one of the people that I love because he never takes no for an answer. When he has a vision, when he has a dream, he goes for it. He just goes for it, and it doesn't matter naysayers, people that try to undermine him. He doesn't care. He just keeps his his focus moving forward, and he is so gracious in doing so. I'm gracious in doing so on the air. Off the air, not so much.
Well, you got 13 kids at home. No,
Not at home anymore. I only have 5 at home.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, so here, where I was going with the 30 years in radio and all of that.
Actually, 42.
42
air
years.
42
I was
years.
trying to be a little young
I know, thank
sounding.
you. Thank you.
Now, when you got into the industry, it was a man's world, the boys club, and you now have over 8 million people tuning in each night to hear you.
When I first got into the industry, it was very much a man's world, a boys club, and now, 42 years later, guess what?
It still is?
It's still a man's world and a boys club. Yeah, because here's the fact. The fact is that there are 5, 6, maybe 7 companies that control 95% of radio in America. And guess who they're led by?
Who?
Men.
Really?
Yeah, all of them.
Well, how did you break through that barrier enough to allow them to say, yes, we're going to put our time, money, effort into her. She deserves to be heard by 8 million people across the country.
Where's he at? Where's Craig at? That man right back there is
Yes.
the reason that happened. My business partner of many, many years who believed in me and said, wow, we could do great things with this. And I had already been syndicated for 7 years when Craig stepped into my life, but I was not receiving the rewards of my syndication, if you know what I mean. And then Craig stepped in, and I signed a contract with Premier Radio Networks, which is now a part of iHeartMedia, and they have been very, 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 very good to me.
And you deserve every bit of it.
Oh, thank you.
You do. You recently won a Marconi, which for those of you who don't work in radio, which is most of us right here, that is equal to perhaps a Tony for the people on Broadway or an Oscar for people who are actors. In the radio world, you win a Marconi, and that's the top of the food chain there, okay? She recently won one. Now, how much of an accomplishment was that for you?
Well, it is, as you know, like the highest award you can win, or one of the highest awards you can win. And it's not the first time I've been nominated, or the second time I was nominated, or the third time.
Oh.
So last time I was nominated, I was like the Susan Lucci, okay?
Oh, got it.
Of radio. So last time I was nominated, the award went to Steve Harvey, who was also nominated. So I went up to congratulate him afterwards, being
the gracious person that I was, and he said, Delilah, you know how you're going to win this award, honey? I said, no, clearly I don't. He said, just keep doing your show. I was nominated 7 times before I won. So that's, you just have to get up every morning and keep doing what you're doing. And he had been nominated for 7 Marconis and finally won. So I said, you know what? I applaud you. I sincerely mean this. Good job. Congratulations.
He never gave up.
He never gave up. No.
Now, your show is based on family and friendship values and such, but what can a listener do that really bugs you? What kind of questions just push that button on you?
Whiners.
What do they sound like when they call?
Hi, Delilah. I have fibromyalgia. Hi, Delilah. My wife left me 14 years ago.
Wait a minute. Not yesterday, not last month.
I have one woman who calls me, and for some reason, God allows her to get through. I don't know if it's to teach me patience. If she's in this room, I'm sorry. No, I'm not. Her name is Lisa, and she calls and says, hi, Delilah. Hi, Lisa. How are you today? I'm not good. I'm not good. What's wrong, Lisa? My neighbors upstairs, they were making noise all night long, and they must be like having a party up there or something. Lisa, you have a roof over your head, right? Yeah, but could you tell my neighbors on the radio not to make so much noise at night, or at least to put your show on?
Okay, since we're all laughing, the next question. I heard you on an interview, and I don't know if you guys was it part of the interview you guys were looking at, but you said, I am the old woman who lives in a shoe. She's got so many kids, she doesn't know what to do. That's how you described yourself.
It's true. Okay. It's true. And I forget them, I forget their names. And I have to go through the whole damn list of names before I get the right one.
Oh, you know who you are.
And they have big names because my kids, 10 of my children are adopted, so they kept their names that they came with, plus my name on the end of it. So, I have a daughter who's 30 now, whose name is Tanjanique, Teresa, Nikita, Zyquel, Tyson Sweet, Renee Ortega.
That's never going to fit on one check. Like when she's
Do you know
writing
what
a
it's
check.
like yelling at your teenager when she was a teenager with that name?
Well, say it. Let's see how it's...
Tanjanique, Teresa, Nyquil, Tyson Sweet, Renee Ortega. Get over here. One time, now I live on the farm, but before I lived on the farm, I lived in a neighborhood. And the house that I bought was built in 1907, and it had only had 2 families living in it before I bought it. So the first family was there, 50 years. The second family was there 47 years. The family that had it before me was a pastor and his wife and their 4 children that they homeschooled. And then me and my tribe move in. So Betty, who lived right across the street and had lived there almost as long as the pastor and his wife, she's looking out the window. I see her peeking out the window. She comes over and brings us cookies and says hi and introduces herself. We'd been there 2 or 3 weeks, and school had started, so I'm getting the kids in the van to get them to school in the morning, and this is what I sound like on the radio at night. Hi, welcome to the Delilah Show. Who's on your heart? And at 7 o'clock in the morning, I'm saying,
warm and fuzzy.
Get in the car seat! Get in your car seat! Get in your car seat! Get in your car seat!
That's the reality.
And so Betty is standing at the window, and I hear her saying, Bob, come and look at this. That nice lady on the radio, that's her. Get in your car seat. So now my youngest is 7.5, and she still has to sit in a booster seat, but I don't have to yell at her quite that much.
Well, you've answered the question I was leading to, which is, what's the funniest thing about you? I think we already know, right? She's spectacular. But what is something about you that I think all of us would be surprised to know about you? What special meaning does that tattoo have?
There are 12 stars. Yellow ones are my boys, white ones are my daughters. And then if you look closely, there's little black twinkles around some of them. Those are my grandbabies. I haven't got the star for my youngest because I just haven't gotten back in since I legally got her here. So
I'm trying to say this so that it is heartfelt, because it really is. I know that you have 13 children, 10 of whom are adopted, 3 of yours. What have you learned from your children?
everything, literally everything. I can't, I don't even know how I lived before my kids. And with each new one that God brings into my family, I sit there and go, how have I existed without this soul in my life? It's just, they're the most amazing, challenging, funny. That's the best part of life.
What is the hardest thing you've ever been through?
Losing my son, by far. I mean, I used to say, God, you know, I can go through anything. Just please don't ever take one of my kids. And then he did. And you find out you can make it through that too.
How did losing him make you a better mother?
I don't know. You know, I hear this every night from my listeners who call who say life changes in an instant, and I say that all the time. You gotta share your heart while you can, because it does. It changes literally in an instant, and there's no way to prepare for it. There's just nothing. There's no course you can take to prepare for that, and every single day, I try to tell my kids. My producer, Janie, who is very good friends with Gary, she and I have been together almost 30 years now. She was my birthing coach with my last 2 biological children. And we were roommates for 8 years. So, not much we don't know about each other. She has a daughter, Jessie, who is 16, that was adopted through our show, through the radio show. She found an organization, adoption.com, and they found the birth mom. And so my producer's family was built because of our radio show. And so Janie and I every day tell each other how much we love each other, how grateful we are. We try to share that with, you know, all of our family and friends, and every night on the air, that none of us are promised a tomorrow. None of us.
I thought it was interesting when I was looking at your 10 adopted children. Instead of choosing what we call picture perfect, I guess if there's a description for that, the way we define them, you went with special needs children. Many of them are.
They all are. Oh.
What is the biggest challenge in raising a special needs child, and why have you chosen that path?
There's so many challenges depending upon the needs. I have one son who has profound brain damage. His birth mom's boyfriend smashed him into a wall when he was 18 months old. He was also sexually abused by the same man. So his level of disability is profound, and he will never be able to live independently. And that just comes with a whole lot of challenges. You know, it's a daily challenges. My youngest daughter, my namesake, baby D, Delilah, has something called myasthenia gravis, which normally affects old white men. Most people who are diagnosed with it are white or Jewish men over the age of 50. And they don't know. They've never seen a child her age before. She was 2.5 when she developed it. And she's from Africa, so they had never seen somebody her age, her ethnicity, from her region of the world with this disorder. And so the average lifespan of a person diagnosed with myasthenia gravis is 7 years from the onset of the disease. So that's an unwelcome guest that sits at our dinner table, but you can't give in to it. You know, you can't let that
Stop you from doing the right thing?
Yeah, stop you from doing anything. She rides horses. She takes swim therapy. She's in Girl Scouts. Anybody want some Girl Scout cookies, Wallen? Just saying, Thin Mints.
While we're all here.
Yeah, while we're here.
You at one point said, radio is so intimate, it is just you and a microphone. Now, a woman like you has never been fired, right?
You mean has never been fired this month? Have you been fired?
I've been fired twice.
Twice.
Yes.
Not fun, is it?
It wasn't fun at all to just get back in the car and know that I couldn't go back in.
Now, did you know before your shift?
Both times.
And you were able to hold it together?
I had to,
Yeah.
because that's what we do.
That's what we do. Yeah. In our head, we're saying all the things we want to say in the microphone.
And then we go on and we say, Delilah.
Yeah. 12. I got you beat by 10.
You've gotten fired 12 times.
12 times.
At this point, it's like, no problem. Okay,
No
high
problem. They can't fire me now because I own my own show.
five. That's the way to do it.
Yeah. 1 or 2 times, maybe 2, 3, I might have done a few things to deserve it.
Little things. They were little.
Small, little.
Almost non-existent. Almost invisible.
Yeah, almost.
Like diet things. Like just tiny.
Yeah.
Almost not.
Yeah. Like getting 3 tickets in the radio station news car in 2 weeks.
That's not good. That's not good.
That wasn't good. But I thought because I paid the tickets, the station would never know.
Right, because their insurance wouldn't go up.
Exactly. Oops. Small little problem, small. One was because I was in the news car covering an accident and traffic was backed up, so I couldn't get to the accident I was supposed to cover, so I had to kind of go around the accident on the sidewalk.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Mr. Officer didn't like that very much.
Now, I know you love radio, but have you ever considered television or another form of media?
I have, and I have been approached by television a lot, and I have had some really wonderful opportunities that I have turned down. And the reason is because I love what I do. And I love that I go in my studio every night, and when you call me, you don't have 15 producers that screen the calls and tell you what you can and can't say. There's not cameras and lighting and makeup artists and fixing the lips and telling you to, you need to lose 20 pounds, blah, blah, blah. It's just me right there. That's my studio in my house, me and a microphone. And so when people call me, there's nothing between me and them. It's just real. And the conversations are real. Mm-hmm. And I don't ever want to lose that. Mm-hmm. And I had a few people come to my house, one from a TV show a few years ago that started with an O, and they stayed in my house for 3 or 4 days and followed me around and followed the kids around, and they're like, oh my gosh, you've got these horses, you've got this land, you've got this zebra. I do, I have a zebra. And then they're like, well, we could do this, but you would need to say this. And do you have any trauma or drama going on? Like, are any of the kids fighting with each other? And is there anybody in the extended family that is a gossiper that you don't like that we could write into the script?
Because it's not going to sell if you don't have that.
Exactly.
We need to be able to cause people to come in next week to see what happened.
To the fake crap that they're writing.
So that wasn't for you?
No. That's not for me. It's not.
That was not for you. You just mentioned all the animals, including a zebra. Is there an animal you don't have but you want?
There are animals we don't have that my children want.
Like,
But since my children aren't the ones that clean the pens on a regular basis, I am not getting a giraffe. No way, no how. Ever.
with 8 million listeners every night, do you feel like you were supposed to have a message for people? Do you feel like you are in the right place in your life? and in the right forum?
I know, and this is a gift from God. I have known from the time I was very young that I am right where I'm supposed to be. And that is such a blessing. And I know so many people that don't have that assurance of knowing they are right where they're supposed to be. But God has blessed me with a platform where I can share his love with a dark and dying world in a way that people will receive it. If I were in a pulpit preaching, well, first off, I could never be in a pulpit preaching because, that. And
Because now you guys are in on the secret.
maybe one or more divorces and, a life spent getting more than 3 tickets. And God has blessed me with a platform where I can share real love in real situations with real people. Nothing that you hear is contrived. Nothing is pre-scripted. Nothing is even screened. I used to have my girlfriend Dee Dee, who's been my friend since I was 9 years old, screening the calls at night. And finally she's like, sis, I'm not staying up late anymore. I'm old. I'm going to bed. So it's just me screening my own calls in the studio at night. So there's nothing artificial or contrived about the show at all. And Janie, as I said, my executive producer, has been my best friend for almost 3 decades, and we've been through everything together. She was there for me when I lost my mama. She was there for me when I lost my son. She's battling breast cancer. She just lost her sister 3 months ago to breast cancer. We have been through it all together, and so we work together like a hand in a glove. She enjoys being behind the scenes. She's pretty shy and quiet, and I'm not. So we work together really, really well. And we both know every single night before we go on the air, our prayer is that God would use the show to share his love in a tangible way.
That's a beautiful prayer. That's a beautiful prayer. That's exactly what it's about. You said you're the queen of sappy love songs for over 30 years, but let's be honest, 42, because you said it, not me. Okay.
42 is over 30, yeah.
And is there maybe one request that is already getting on your nerves that you yourself are tired of playing that song? Say it.
Well, now that it's the holiday season, every child in America hits redial to hear Grandma got ran over by a reindeer. Or the Christmas shoes. We hate Grandma got run over by a reindeer so much. Or I want a hippopotamus. The donkey. Yep, Dominic the donkey. Yep.
Hate that one too.
Yep.
Okay. Now, I saw that you said if we Google Delilah, and I have the list here, that's why I have to look at it. There's a lot of words. It's mother, grandmother, farmer, hairstylist, radio host, artist, cook, and collector of strange things. Okay. Of all those titles, which do you do the best?
Mama.
You didn't take time to think about that?
Oh, no. First and foremost, I'm a mama bear. Because I'm a mom to my kids. And like right now, I have a granddaughter that I have custody of that lives with me. I have 5 stepkids with my current husband. My first husband, I was married in 1981. And when I married my first husband, I married his family. He had 2 children that were 9 and 10. We then had a son together. And when our son was 10 months old, my husband left. His son with me and his 2 children that he brought into the marriage.
Wow.
So at 25 years old, I was a single mom with a house payment, a car payment, and 3 children.
And didn't have the syndicated program.
Oh, hell no. Honey, I can cook top ramen 101 ways. Yeah, I think my median income that year, I have to check my taxes, was probably around 18 grand.
For the year.
For the year, yeah. How did I do it? I cook a lot of top ramen. You know, the funny thing is, if you came to my house today, I mean, I have a huge farm. I have 55 acres. But if you came to my house today and spent a week with me, you would have no idea that I have a good income because my lifestyle has not changed. The car that I drive was a gift from the man in the back of the room, and it now has almost 200,000 miles on it.
Oh, my goodness.
And it's, 13 years old? And that's my car because with the money that I would be making on a new car payment, I can feed 300 kids in Africa.
Wow. You
Less than
sacrifice
$2
yourself.
a day, I can feed a child in Africa. And I do. So it's a matter of priorities. And to me, stuff is stuff. Stuff means absolutely nothing to me. There is nothing in my house outside of a few pieces of jewelry that my mama or my grandma left me that if it disappeared tomorrow, I would cry a tear over. Stuff is stuff. Stuff is stuff. It means nothing. When your mom is fighting a brain tumor or your son is laying on a hospital bed fighting for his life, you realize real quick how much stuff does not matter. When I go to Africa and I work with people whose house is smaller than the set we're setting on, and there's 6 or 7 people living there, they don't have a carpet on the floor because there is no floor. And the closest fresh water source is 3 miles away. You realize that stuff doesn't matter. It has no value outside of the comfort that it brings us. Outside of the comfort that stuff brings us, there is absolutely no value to it. So knowing that, I can feel comfortable in a shirt from Goodwill, from a thrift store for $3, or I can feel comfortable in a shirt from a major department store for $300. It's a no-brainer.
You have 2 books.
2 or 3.
Oh, I've got Arms Full of Love and Love Matters.
Was there one? There's one long before that.
Was there another?
And there's a new one that'll be out hopefully next spring called One Heart at a Time.
One Heart at a Time.
Yeah.
What can we learn through your books about you?
Well, they all kind of have the same theme. And that is that the only thing that matters is love. Faith, hope, and love. But the greatest of these is love. And I truly believe that politics are not going to change the world. Policies are not going to change the world. Arguing and fighting is not going to change the world. We are going to change the world. And men, I'm sorry to say this, but women, sisters, we are going to change the world one heart at a time. We're going to change the world by investing our heart, our soul, our time, our energy into young women, mentoring them, believing in them, being there for them, encouraging them, telling them it doesn't matter where you were born, it doesn't matter what your physical limitations, your mental or emotional conditions are, it doesn't matter. God has a plan for your life. You have incredible worth. You are precious. You are wonderful just the way you are. And when we take all of our goodness and we pour it into a young woman and young men. But when we do that, that is how we are going to change the world.
Coincidentally, before you arrived, when Gary was up here and he said, I swear this wasn't, coordinated with all of the purple, and Ellen and I really genuinely did not call each other last night to find out, what are you wearing?
What are you wearing tomorrow?
What are you wearing? Because I don't want to wear the same thing.
Know.
Oh my God, are you sure? Because I don't want to be too sure. But what
you
if
know what?
Okay,
you know what I
that.
do when Janie calls me and says that?
What?
I lie. I do because I like looking like twinsies. I love that my daughter, who's 7, likes to dress like
That's
Mama
so
Bear.
cute.
Isn't that?
Yeah.
And Janie's like, I am never dressing like you. That's so embarrassing.
Now, we chose to dress in purple because I don't know if you know
It's
this,
a
but it's the
mixture of
women's
red and blue together too.
and it's a women's unity color. It's the color of us.
Do you know
so
it's
right now, when you
also-
just put that message out there, I think Ellen and I,
It's also the color of royalty in
it
the
wasn't
Bible.
a mistake. We did this on purpose.
Did you know in the Bible it is the color of royalty? Yeah. When you see a purple thread, when you would see somebody with a purple thread, they were from the royal family.
So it is the color of choice.
Amen. Because we are royalty.
I believe that. I think women have so much more to give if we're just given an opportunity and open that door for us, like they have for you.
No, I disagree with that. Because when I'm given an opportunity, it doesn't mean a thing to me.
No?
No. When I have to fight for it and scrap for it, then I can do the I told you so. I told you so. You said I couldn't do it, but I told you so.
I like that.
Yeah, when I'm given an opportunity, it doesn't mean you know what? People say, who do you owe your success to? Who is the one person or the people that inspired you the most? It's the people that fired me. It's the people that called me into their meetings and closed the door and said, now, Delilah, my research shows
We love
what
research.
women want to hear on the air. A 28-year-old man
It's telling you.
decided to tell me one time what women 25 to 54 wanted to hear on the radio.
And you were in that age group.
Yeah, I was and had been for some time.
And you were
Yeah.
a woman, so
and,
that's a
and I
given.
am a woman.
And you know what you like to hear.
Yeah,
Got it.
yeah. So his research was going to tell me what we women want.
Now that's at work. You were saying you've been divorced. Is that fair?
Yeah. Yeah.
What is the most challenging thing about a relationship with Delilah?
Oh, jeez. The most challenging. To begin with, I'm kind of a slob.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, I have art projects everywhere. I paint. I draw. I sew. I can. I cook. Usually all at the same time. Which means my cookies are always burnt. That was kind of a challenge. I think the biggest challenge was I sadly married men that were really, really cute. And it's kind of stopped there.
And all they had was cute.
Yeah, my first husband was really handsome.
But was that all he had? Was cute, handsome?
He had a really good voice. He was
Yeah.
in radio too.
Okay.
He
That's nice.
was really smart. He just
Okay, now you're saying nice
He-
things. I like that.
He had a short-term memory problem. Have any of you women ever been involved with a man that has a short-term memory problem?
Well, give us an example.
They remember long-term things. They remember the track team he was on in high school where he won state for high hurdles. He could remember that.
But what is an example of having short-term memory?
He forgot to come home at night.
That's a big one. See, that's
Yeah.
a big one. That's not
Yeah.
a little forgot.
He
That's not
forgot
an oopsie.
whose bed he was supposed to be coming home to.
Yeah, that's not a little oopsie. That's not an
yeah,
oopsie.
that's not a little oops. That's, after the first he said it was an accident. Honey, that's an on purpose. Yeah.
And then he was nowhere to be found for a while because you left him.
No, he left me and moved in with the girlfriend down the street.
That's not the way the story was supposed to end.
I know. And so then I met a man in church. This is going to be perfect, right? Because I was married to Mr. Hottie, Mr. Short-term memory. So I met a man in church. He was in church every time the door opened. He didn't smoke. He didn't drink. He didn't even curse. He didn't sleep around.
He is everything your daddy would have wanted for you and more.
I just failed to notice he didn't work.
Oh, he forgot that part. Okay. He had everything else, but he forgot that part. But you were going to be...
Small
right.
oversight on my part. Slight oversight.
Right.
Yeah, that was an oversight. Yeah.
She's like, that's a big oversight.
That's a big oversight. Uh-huh. Yep, after 9 years of coming in and seeing him laying on the couch. Doing this.
Oh, was he
Or
into
this.
video games?
Or this.
Oh, the
Hold
remote
it,
control.
hold it. He says, it's coming up to the good part.
Oh.
You've watched that movie 50 times if you know this is the good part. It's coming up to the good part. Yeah. Yep.
So when you go out there looking for Mr. Right, what are you looking for?
Obviously, he was cute.
He still has to be cute.
So I am actually married. I have been married 4 years. I've known the man for 10 years, and I wasn't looking. I was done not looking. And we have a really good marriage because he lives in one state, and I live in the other.
You couldn't mess this up.
No, well, I could. But he is a former Green Beret and a former police officer, so everything goes by the book. And everything has to be neat and lined up. Like the shirts line up. And
you're a little messy, you said.
a little.
And he's got all his colors coordinated and everything. And the shoes
All
are
two
all
colors.
Like, oh, nice.
All the
Oh,
dark khaki and the light khaki. That's... Yep.
Well... You're super cute yourself, you know that? Now, you have a foundation, and I know it's important that we talk about it because we're going to invite all of you over to the other room after this. It's called Point Hope. Tell us about Point Hope. What is that? Why should our friends here want to know more about it?
Well, Point Hope, our slogan is we endeavor to be a voice for forgotten children. The whole purpose of Point Hope, because you asked me what I do best, I'm a mama best. I mother, I love, I nurture. And in America, there are 500,000 children, that's 500,000 children who will go to bed tonight not knowing where they will live tomorrow. Because we have 500,000 children stuck in our foster care program. Of those 500,000 children, less than 10% will ever have permanency. Let that sink in. That's 50,000.
The rest just stay where?
So the rest are shuffled from foster home to foster home. When they reach 18 in most states, 21 in 5 states in our nation, they age out of the system. When they turn 18 in the state where I live, if they are living in a foster home, they must move out. Because the foster home will lose their license for having somebody who is over 18 in their house who's not been vetted by the state. So most kids who are in foster care age out at 18, some at 21. Less than 5% will ever go on to college. Less than 3% will graduate from college. And here's some startling statistics. 80% of the boys who are in our foster care system, it doesn't matter what state in the nation, 18 months or longer, will end up incarcerated by the age of 25. So the foster care system is not creating fully functioning, active human beings. It is creating hardened criminals. And why is that? I believe the reason is something called attachment disorder. When a child's heart, when that baby's heart over there, if he was taken from the folks that loved him and have raised him, and he is placed with their grandma or an aunt or an uncle, if he has had a positive attachment in the first 18 months of his life, chances are he will be able to attach again. The second time that child is taken and placed with somebody else, the ability to attach goes down dramatically. And that's with healthy parenting and healthy attachment. By the third or fourth placement, a child does not have the ability to attach because your heart is protective. And it says, I can't do this again, I will lose my mind. And it without you having any control of it, puts up walls and doesn't ever let anybody in. When you put up walls and you don't ever let anybody in, you become a sociopath. You become somebody who does not feel the pain of other people. And so we are not raising healthy young people in the foster care system. We are creating heartache upon heartache upon heartache.
What does Point Hope do?
Well, We do a lot of things. We try to bring awareness to kids in foster care. We try to speak to rooms of women like yourselves and say, you know what? There's kids that need a forever family. And you can make a huge difference in this child's life by being that forever family. And then everybody goes, yeah, but Delilah, I wasn't called to do that. Or you've got the luxury of doing that because you're successful, which is true. But the first 4 children that I adopted before I was successful, before I had money. And the thing is, if you will step out on faith and if you will trust God, everything will fall into place. And when you adopt a child out of foster care, there are resources available. The state pays your home study. They pay the legal fees. It doesn't cost you anything out of pocket. And if that child has special needs, like mine do, they provide services afterwards if you get it in a contract. So we try to bring awareness to adoption. The other thing we do, and I would love for some of you women to jump on board with this one, is something called a Tanista, where once or twice a year we get a building, a church or a donated building, we rent a space, whatever. Then we contact social workers and we invite young girls in foster care age 12 to 18 to come for a day of wonderful wonderment. And they come and they get before pictures, and then they get a makeover, they get their hair done, they get their nails done, they get to shop. We ask women in the community, especially women in retail, to donate shoes and clothes. They get 2 or 3 outfits. They get pictures taken afterwards. Then they get served a 5-course meal by men in the community. Ooh. We get firemen and police officers, our mayor does it in my community, to come and show these girls just how precious they are and that they can be treated with dignity and respect. And then the whole purpose of the night is we always have a keynote speaker, somebody who has been through the system and can speak empowerment to them to say, if you stay in high school, you don't even have to graduate with honors. If you stay in high school, there are federal dollars available for college. And kids in foster care never hear that. They never hear you can be something great. They never hear you can change the world. And so we try to speak that into their hearts. Then we stay in touch with these girls and form relationships with them and have mentor programs and such.
Well, in a few minutes, because I want to be able to talk to the audience here to get questions from them, because I have completely overtaken this, and I think you guys came with some questions of your own. We are going to be joining you at Point Hope set up over there, and we can learn a little bit more and get more involved.
Awesome.
Okay, because honestly, everything that you just said, I think reached each one of us. Either you're a mom or you have a mom, either you have a child or you have a sister, but you have somebody in your life who you can relate to. So Judy Goldman, is she here today? Judy Goldman, who are you? Hi, Judy. You know, we asked everybody when they registered to send in a question, and this was Judy's question. She's over there. It says, please talk about your happiest moments on the air, perhaps like when someone calls back and tells you how your advice worked.
Wow. Okay, I had a really happy moment just a couple of days ago. I have teenagers, as you know, which means I'm into social media now. I'm cool.
So you have Snapchat and Instagram and
I'm
Facebook.
not that cool.
Not that cool. Okay, got it.
Because that's too much to manage. I was kind of glad to see Vine go, because that's one less thing I have to try to keep up with. But I have Facebook. Facebook is the main thing, and Twitter. We tweet and Twitter and all that stuff when we have special guests on the show. And I got a message the other day on my Facebook page that said, because of you and because of listening to you and Janie talk about your children that you've adopted, my husband and I decided to adopt a child out of foster care. And I was like, oh, and then I kept reading, and she said, so next week, the adoption of a sibling group of 3 will be final. She said, I went from being a woman with no children, and she'd been married almost 20 years, to being a mama of 3. And so,
that is very amazing. And
so
that means the world to you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Angela Perez. Angela Perez. Is she here today? No.
¿Dónde está?
Well, she asked, how do you keep your show so fresh after all these years?
I'm just me, and life changes and things change. Hopefully, I've gotten wiser over the years in some areas.
We cross our fingers.
Yeah.
Maybe.
But the music is always fresh, and getting to meet artists, and we just got to go see Trolls before it was released, which was so much fun because September plays throughout the whole movie. Love that. But I love what I do. I stinking love what I do.
You do it well.
Thank you.
Even if it's thinking, it's good.
Yeah.
Alan Liu, are you here? Alan Liu? He said, how do you deal with the negativity in your life, and what advice do you have for someone going through stress?
How do I deal with negativity in my life? I'm bigger, I'm louder, I'm older. And I will wear you down. No, I don't like having negativity in my life. I don't like, and sometimes I went to, I know you're not supposed to reveal these things, but I belong to a 12-step group. And I went to a meeting one time, and it was right before the holidays. And there was a woman there who was very stressed because she had to go home and be with her family. And she said, my family's toxic. They're still doing the stuff that I no longer do, and blah, blah, blah. So a few days later, she was at another meeting, and she said, I got it. I got the 3 rules for surviving the holidays with crazy family. Be quick, be quiet, be gone.
You guys agree?
She said, I got to show up. I got to pay my respects. I have to be respectful because they're family and I love them. But be quick, be quiet. She said, I got to shut my mouth, not engage, and be gone. And
know when to stop.
Yeah. So I have so much positivity in my life, though.
It's easy for you.
It is. I love what I do. I love my farm. I love my animals. I have 2 or 3 of my dogs in my studio at night. I love my kids. I get to tuck my kids into bed and kiss them goodnight and
hustle them in the morning to get up and go to school.
Get in the car!
And Christina, let's see, is Christina here? Maybe? Simono or Samoano? No,
You
she's
guys
not
are
here.
shy?
Well, oh, by the way, Ellen, this is the last one I got because I didn't print that many. So you
So
take
we're gonna
over
go
after
in
this.
the audience.
Yeah, this is the last one I got here. What has been the most memorable call you have ever received on the air, and why was it memorable?
Oh, there's some good ones. Do you want memorable, sweet, and tender?
No, funny. The funny kind. The kind that goes, this is ridiculous. I cannot even believe somebody called me for this.
Okay, so the funniest call was a young woman from the South who called and said, Delilah, I'm in love. I'm so in love. I want to play a song from my sweetheart. I'm in love. I said, okay, tell me about your boyfriend. What's his name? Well, his name is, and she told me his name was Bobby. And she said, but right now he's away. Whenever somebody says he's away and they don't finish it with at college or at work or driving truck, you know where he's away.
The other side of the world? Oh no, I just got it.
He's away.
Oh, I got it.
You
He's got bars. I got it. I just got it.
Okay. I have a few kids that have been away, so I know all about away. So I said, okay, well, what happened? She said, oh, he made a little mistake. I said, what kind of little mistake? She said, well, he got real jealous of my ex-boyfriend who showed up at the bar where I work, so he put a bomb in his truck and blew it up.
How do you say,
So I'm like-
okay, what can I dedicate for him?
Wait, it gets better. It gets better. I said, honey, that is not a little mistake. A little mistake is if you go away because you wrote checks that you did not have money to cover, or perhaps you borrowed checks from somebody that did. That's a little mistake. That blowing up a truck is not a little mistake. That's a big on purpose. She says, I know, but I love him. I said, what happens when he gets out if he's still jealous, only he's mad at you? Oh, no, he wouldn't do that because he loves me. He loves me. I said, okay, there's only one song I can play. And I almost got fired again for playing the Gap Band. You dropped a bomb on me. True story. Janie's like, no, you're not. No, you're not. Oh, yes.
Yes. You call me up with that question. That's the song you're getting.
That's the song you're getting.
Well, let's see what questions we have here in the audience. And you have been so gracious in sharing your personal life. Is there anything that's off limits? Anything at all? All right, hands up. Okay, you are Carla. What's your question?
So I see the picture of you all dressed up with your mug. Do you usually just sweatpants and hoodie on the radio? No makeup?
I always have to have my eyes on because my daughter, who is 12 now, said to me one day, Mommy, can you go put your eyes on, please? I said, what? She goes, can you go do the thing you do with your eyes? I said, why? She goes, you're so much nicer when you have your makeup on. Really? I think it changes your attitude when you feel good, I don't know. So I have a very quick morning routine. Takes me no more than 5 or 10 minutes, but I bump a curl in my hair. I put my eyes on. And if I leave the house, I have to have my lips on. Because when I was a young woman, my hair might be enhanced a little bit now, perhaps. But when I was a teenager, it was blonder than this naturally. And I'm kind of white, and I grew up in Oregon where there is no sun. So as I was getting ready to leave the house, my mom would say, sis, put your lips on. You look like you're dead. Put your lips on.
So your daughter thinks you have no eyes and your mom thought you had no lips.
No, it's just that, she back then she had the curlers and the red lips. Yeah. And so I have to have my lips on if I go out in public.
Well, they look spectacular.
Thank you. So... But clothing-wise, I might not quite be dressed like that.
And because you work for yourself, you don't have to have a studio cam, a webcam.
And I will never have a studio cam or a webcam. Because do you have any clue how long it took me to get the counter that clean? I had to bring down a little scrapey knife to get all the paint off because I paint while I'm taking calls.
And 2 seconds before, you were screaming at one of the kids.
Yeah. Get to bed! You got to get the Marine Corps guy to go and work in the studio a little bit.
Oh, he would never.
All right, let me come over here. You got your little darling with you. What is your name?
Christine.
Hi, Christine.
I'm going to try to stand and get up. So I've been listening to you since I was 19. I'm 40.
You should be on radio. You have a great voice.
Thank you. I speak fast, though, so that probably wouldn't work very well. But you've inspired me, as many people I'm sure who are here, through heartache. Actually, I missed the call. My ex-boyfriend, called you once, and he won't tell me what song it was. We're finally friends after 9 years. But he called you once to make a request, and he won't tell me. He said he'll tell me in his will. But the question I have for you is, of all the ways you've inspired others through, I feel like your show is healing, and I wondered, what do you do to find healing yourself? I mean, I heard you mention, God, but what do you do to find that healing that you provide to so many?
That's a very good question. I'm a child of the dirt. I was born on a farm. My mother was born on a farm. Her father was born on a farm in Arkansas. We are people of the dirt. And for many years, because of my career, I had to live in cities. But I would always get a place in the suburbs where I could at least have a lawn where I could dig it up and plant vegetables. And now that I have the dirt, the earth, that really is how I get grounded. Doesn't matter what I'm going through. If I can get outside and trim something back, plant something, pull something out, cut something down, build something up, I feel so much better. And I take what I learn on my farm And I didn't get to share this with you, but Point Hope works here in America in foster care. We work in Ghana, West Africa, in refugee camps and in villages that are very, very, very impoverished. And by impoverished, I mean the people in the 3 villages that we work with live on less than $1 a day. So you can't even imagine what poverty is until you go into a community where 47% of the children are dying of malnutrition. So I take everything I learn on the dirt in the farm, at my farm, and then I go to Africa and I teach organic, sustainable gardening. And it's very, very hard to be negative or to feel sorry for yourself when you're involved with something as monumental as feeding children. And I have Janie. I have Janie and my sister, and they keep me real. And when I'm going through stuff, I'm on the phone with them 2, 3, 4 times a day. Just talk me through it. Because my sister's the kind of person that internalizes. Does anybody here get depressed or internalize their pain? You just stuff it down? Yeah. I'm an externalizer. I don't stuff anything.
Are you the crier, the one that's doing this on the couch?
Oh, no, I don't cry. No, I yell. It's not pretty. And I get ugly. You know, my nose gets all swelled up and my throat gets all choked up and I say ugly things. It's
The
ugly.
stuff you can't say on the radio.
No. No, there would be no Delilah show.
Delilah.
That would have been 13 firings.
Yeah.
Okay, we have a question right here. Yes.
I have a question. I'm an adoptive parent, and I'm also a foster parent.
God bless you.
Thank
Woohoo!
you.
Big hand.
I try and foster only one child at a time because I don't want to become overwhelmed, but I'm very much aware of the need. So what can you say to me to encourage me to just step out and do more? Because I can do more. I'm just afraid to do more because I don't want to become overwhelmed.
But you are doing more. And maybe that's what you're supposed to be doing. Because if you get overwhelmed, then you're not going to be any good to anybody. If you get burned out, then you're not going to be any good.
Just like you just said it, there is such a need here in Dade County. Because
Well, see, for me, I find having 2 children is always easier than 1. Because if I just have 1, I'm the sole entertainment.
yes,
I am the sole entertainment, and I have to hear 1,000 questions all day long. When there's 2 of them, I say, go play.
that is so true.
When there's 3 of them, I say, stop fighting and go play.
And when there are 13 of them, what do you say?
Well, I've actually, 8 is the most I've ever had living at home at one time.
Still a lot.
Yeah, that is a lot.
That's an awful lot.
That's a lot when it comes to laundry and burritos.
I will tell you my question before you got here, when we were chatting and asking about people listening to you, was trying to imagine how many loads of laundry you do a day.
Well, it's much less now because, like I said, there's 5 at home. But I have 2 sets of washers and dryers, one upstairs, one downstairs. And they literally, I start laundry, it's usually 8, 9 in the morning, and laundry goes all day long.
Do you have a staff that helps you?
I do. I have a personal assistant named Joni who's been with me for 10 or 12 years. She helps with scheduling the kids' appointments. She helps with bills. My husband, who lives in another state, runs an organic beef and pork farm. So she handles all the pork and beef sales that, interstate back and forth and all that stuff. I have my executive producer, Janie, who manages my staff. I have a staff of 14 or 15 people that produce the shows you hear. So my executive producer, Janie, handles that. The man in the back of the room handles all my scheduling for my business life, tells me when I have to be on a phone call, when I have to be in the studio, when I have to interview Carly Simon. He handles all of that for me. And then I have my Kimmy, who is priceless. My Kimmy, who comes to my house every morning at 9:15 with her little dog, and together we cook and can and garden and do too damn much laundry. I'm like, can't you wear these again?
I want to remind you, After the question and answer period, you're going to have a chance to meet and greet Delilah, get autographs, and chat face to face, and of course, see everything there is about Point Hope. And if you're looking for information, spreading the word is probably a great thing to do.
Yeah.
What would you like to know, Emily?
I would like to know on an everyday basis, how do you keep going and not get emotional or break down?
I break down all the time. Breaking down is not a bad thing. When you're young, you think that if you're breaking down, it's a sign of weakness. It is not a sign of weakness. And it's quite all right to cry. There is not a night that I'm on the air that I don't cry at least once, because people call me and share the most powerful, heartbreaking or amazing stories, and my staff knows me well enough to know when I'm starting to lose it, and Janie will just say, don't worry, I've got this covered, and she'll play a recorded break so that I can just keep talking with whoever's called
I don't
in.
want to let that you just said go, because it has not just become a business for you. You still have a heart. You still see each person as an individual. You still hear
Because
the
they
person
are.
and feel them,
Yeah.
but it hasn't worn on you to the point where it's become a business. You haven't lost that.
No, and I think if I ever did feel that, I wouldn't do it anymore. If I ever got to the point where it didn't matter, where it was just a business, I wouldn't do it. But Craig will tell you, Janie will tell you, at the end of every show, I am on the phone with Janie at midnight saying, oh my God, did you hear what so-and-so said? Or how can we help this person? I had a young girl call the other night who was so sad. She'd aged out of the foster care program, and she has nowhere to go for Thanksgiving. And I'm like, that is not okay. That is not okay. And I can't say on the air, I'm going to fly you to my house for Thanksgiving, because then I'll have Lisa calling. Hi, Delilah. I heard you say that you were going to fly her home for Thanksgiving.
My neighbor is still making noise.
Sitting there, yeah, and you didn't do anything to fix that. So, yeah. So if the day ever comes where that doesn't, I think it was Mother Teresa or St. Francis, one of the two saints, she's a saint now, isn't that cool? That said, may my heart always be broken by the things that break the heart of the Lord. And that if the day ever comes where my heart isn't broken by the things that break the heart of God, then I need to hang up the microphone, hang up the headphones, and, go do something, because
that's your message.
Yeah.
What we talked about at the beginning.
And
you do have a
sadly,
message.
Our hearts are not broken by the things that break the heart of the Lord. There is more money spent in my city on one basketball or football event. There's more money spent on one football game in my city than the entire state has to take care of foster kids for the year. How is that okay? In whose world is a bunch of guys bashing into each other for our entertainment, purely for entertainment? There is nothing that comes out of that except we are entertained. How is that a higher priority in our society than children who have no voice?
All right, this young lady has a voice.
Hi. My question, let me just begin. I have a big family. We're 8 kids all together. I'm the oldest female. I'm the oldest girl. My parents have been together for 25 years. And since...
They did it the old-fashioned way.
Since
Your mom deserves an award of some kind.
She does. She really does. So I go to college. I'm going to be a junior. When I am a junior for social work at FAU.
Oh, God bless you. Your heart is going to be broken over and over and over.
I'm ready.
Okay.
So the thing is, I am the oldest girl. My brother, he already moved out. And I always want to help my little sister is my oldest, my youngest sibling. He's 3, my little Francisco. And I always want to take them to the park. I want to take my sisters, to do what they have to do. And it's just like overwhelming. I'm a student. I go to work, I go home, and how do you manage? How do you keep sane? How do you fit everything in your schedule?
It's tough, but you have to prioritize. And work management, workshop crap that you go to will, tell you to have a day planner and schedule this and schedule that. But I always lead with the heart. There's an expression, first things first. You have to take care of the first things first. You have to go to school. You have to pass your classes. That's right now, that is your job.
I came from the library and I was doing my little online class.
So that's your job, first things first. But if you have a choice between spending an hour watching a football game or watching a television show or an hour taking the baby to the park, it's a no-brainer. Do you know how much time the average American spends being entertained a day in front of a television set? Anybody care to guess? 6 to 8 hours a day are spent watching television. You could be listening to the radio.
Good sell. Good sell. That was good. And doing something else in the meantime.
Yeah, because when you're listening to us, you can do stuff. You can do stuff with your kids. You can go to the park. You can drive a car. You can go to your kid's soccer game. You can go out in the front yard and kick a soccer ball. You can paint. I know I do it while I'm on the air. You can do things. You can engage in activities. When you're sitting in front of a TV set, you're not engaging in anything. You're not developing a relationship with anybody. So we don't have TV in our house. We haven't had TV in our house in almost 20 years. So that gives us a lot more time.
So you're not a Walking Dead fan? One over here,
here's a funny statistic.
I've
had almost every winner of America's Got Talent or The Voice on my show the last 5 or 10 years, and I've never watched a single episode.
It is an honor to meet you. I don't have a question. I just want to say thank you for walking in your purpose, for being with me through troubled times. For walking in your purpose. You have inspired me today to be bigger, to be greater, and to always lead with my heart. I'm so happy to have met you, Delilah.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Remember this, you are a daughter of the Most High. That means you are a princess. You know, all the little girls want to be Disney princesses. That is such a bunch of crap. Sitting around waiting for Prince Charming, seriously? Because if he's that good looking, he's probably got a short-term memory problem.
And he's met another princess somewhere down the line.
But when you realize that you are a daughter of the Most High, that you are a princess, a royal heritage, man, there is no stopping you. There is no stopping you.
Inspirational. Look at her. She's going to go out and just kick the world's butt.
And here's the thing, don't listen to the naysayers. Do not, there's a little tiny book I got in the 80s, somebody gifted to me. It's probably this thick. It took me an hour to read it. And it's called Balcony People. It's been out of print for years. But it basically says you will find 2 kinds of people in your life. You will find basement dwellers or balcony people. The balcony people are the people that come to your games, that come to your events, that cheer you on, that say you can do it. You can make this happen. Don't give up. If you stumble, you fall, you pick yourself up, you carry on. Then there's the people in the basement. You'll never make it. What are you thinking going into education? You can't even spell. That's what spell check is for. You know, the naysayers or they'll throw statistics at you or tell you why you shouldn't do this. Or how many people have told you you're going into social work? It's going to be so hard and you're not going to make any money. And you're going to change lives. You're going to be the liaison to save lives. That's an honor. That's a privilege. That's awesome. Go for it. Do it well. So find balcony people for your life and then be a balcony person for other people. When your daughter comes to you and says, I quit school and I'm going to wait tables like mine just did. That's all I can do. You know what, baby? Right now, that's what you're meant to do. And that's what you're going to do. And I hope your feet hurt like hell. So you think about going back to school. But I don't say that. That's that be quick, be quiet, be gone. Because right now in her life, she is right where God wants her. And my job as her mama is to encourage her and to pour that love into her and to let her know that whatever path that she is on, she is going to make a difference in the world. So not only surround yourself with balcony people, and if you've got toxic people in your life, still love them, still pray for them, just be quick, be quiet, be gone. Do not engage in long conversations with somebody who is going to pull you down. Because it's just, they're like emotional vampires. And you don't even realize you've been sucked in until you're like, oh, I didn't realize I was so worthless.
Any other questions? Yes, okay.
Hello, Delilah. I've been a fan of you since over 20 years now. It's like the first time I heard you, it's like I just came to live in the United States. I lived in Los Angeles. And one day you got out of the show, and I wrote you an email. Producer Janie answered me back and said, where are you coasting from? California. Oh, I'm sorry, that's the only place we're not. I missed you so much until I found you again. And I have this doubt. It's like, do you go live every night? And how do you manage to get the right song when you're still talking to the people?
The magic of that.
It has to be magic because you
So-
are phenomenal.
Many years ago, all of our music, when I started the show, was on records. Remember those things? They scratched. So when I started the show in 1984, our music was on records. Then we went to something called carts, which looked like 8-track tapes, but there was only one song per cart. And all of the calls that I took, I would record on reel-to-reel. And then I would have to edit them using, Gary's smiling back there, using a razor blade and a pencil that was, the waxy, it was like a crayon. Grease pencil, thank you. So you'd have to mark where they said the F word, where it started, then you'd have to mark where the k was, and then you'd have to take a razor blade and cut it out and splice it together. So it would take me 10 minutes to edit a call sometimes, because when people call, the thing you hear is 3 to 5 minutes long, usually no more than 3. But the call itself is usually 10 or 15 minutes long. So now we have a machine, a computer system called a Vox Pro. And in a matter of seconds, I can cut the F-bomb out over and over and over and over. So we try to cut out stuff that doesn't matter, like Lisa and the people up there, because maybe Lisa one day will have a good story to share. But
it hasn't happened yet.
So while I'm talking and listening, I'm typing into my computer what song I want to go with this call. My producer, Janie, who is in an identical studio 7 miles away, is looking at the screen, and we have a squawk box. We talk to each other. And she'll type back, no, I think this song would be better. And we'll go back and forth and back and forth. And I'll usually end up by saying, I write your paycheck. And then she'll say, yes, but I control your microphone. And so she was in the radio industry when, the same time I was years ago, and had her own show on 2 different stations. So, and she has a wealth of information about 2 or 3 genres of music. I am the queen of sappy love songs, and then our kids are all up on current music. So between us, we know the lyrics to about 55,000 songs. And so I type it in the computer, and then she takes that call, puts it on the air with the song, sometimes that I pick, sometimes that she picks. And that's how it sounds so seamless. Now, back in the day, before Craig came into the picture, the studio we worked at was much smaller than this area here. It was the basement. It was underneath a set of stairs that had been the broom closet. And the company I worked for was making millions of dollars off my show. And they had us working in a broom closet, paying us a fraction. Paying us less than if I had worked as you, one person on one station. And we had music on discs then. They were on CDs, compilation CDs. Remember the mixtapes? How many of you had boyfriends that gave you mixtapes?
I gave it to them.
Yeah? Were those fun? You pick out all the songs that mean so much, and you put them on the mixtape. Well, we had compilation CDs where companies basically did mixtapes and charged money for it. And the library was down the hall, like as far as from here to back there, the music library from the studio. And we only had about 100 compilation tapes or CDs in the studio. The rest were in the library. So I would finish a call and I would say, Janie, after these commercials, I want you to play that call and this song. And she'd say, it's not in the hard drive, it's not in the studio. I'd jump up out of my chair, go through my studio door, go down the hall, into the library, find the tape or find the CD, run back in, run through the door, under the stairs, throw the CD at Janie and say, cut 8. She'd throw it in the machine, cue up cut 8, and pray that it really was cut 8 and not, the Gap band, you dropped a bomb on me. So it's much, much easier with technology now.
Radio dreams. Do you have radio nightmares?
Oh, do I have the radio nightmare. How many of you have the nightmare that you're like going to class naked or unprepared for an exam? Yeah, you have that nightmare where it's test day and I don't know any of the answers. Do you have the radio nightmare?
My radio nightmare is that I'm going to look at the clock and it says 7 a.m. and I started an hour ago.
Mine is I'm on the air and the record has run out and I don't know what I'm supposed to say or play. And it's going, yeah.
And you hear the needle at the end.
Yeah. You guys know what needles are? Remember putting the dime on the arm of the record player?
Yeah, because
so
it would
needle,
keep it down. And then the little circle thing in the middle, if it was a 45.
Yeah, what was really bad is one radio station I worked at only had one record player. So you'd have to go between the record and the commercial or the record, and you'd have to talk while you're queuing up the next record.
You. This is good. These are
I can scratch.
That could be a whole new career.
No.
Yeah, right. So there is so much that I know you all want to thank her for, and you have the chance to do it individually. I would like to thank you because I feel so much better about the choices I've made in boyfriends throughout my life after hearing your stories.
Oh, honey, those were just the husbands. I didn't even get into the boyfriends.
So with that in mind, and being the queen of sappy music, after those situations and making those choices and going through some heartbreak, how do you then continue to sit and play those songs and believe in love every single day?
Well, just because I made a few bad choices, one or two, doesn't mean that love isn't real and doesn't exist and isn't precious and worth every fiber of your being. But the stories you'll hear on my show are maybe 10-20% about romantic love. And then you're going to hear the stories about people, who've been married 30, 40, 50 years, love. You hear stories from people who just found out they're expecting, or from moms whose daughters are graduating. And, so it's a whole mix of love. It's not just romantic love. It's all aspects of love.
You have 13 children. Will we be congratulating you anytime soon for a 14th?
Oh, my. That's a long pause.
What was it, the movie Feifel? Never say never, Papa.
Love it. Love it.
My youngest is 7, my oldest is 37, and I have had at least 2 children living under my roof since 1981. Do you know how many parent-teacher conferences I've had to go to? Delilah, your son or daughter is delightful. However...
It's that however, comma.
Let me guess, they talk too much.
So we really got to give it up for Delilah's mom for raising you right.
My mom was 4 inches taller than I am, louder than I am, and a bigger character than I am. Yeah. And I truly believe that it was because God called my mom home that I was able to get syndicated. Because my mom saw me get fired again and again and again and move and move and move. So I believe that when she got there, she said, okay, Lord, You are not leaving this room until I have your word that you're going to move on my daughter's behalf, because I cannot stand from up here seeing her move again. And she passed in September. I got a phone call in December, and I became syndicated in February.
But once again, you did it. Yes, she's watching over you, but you made it happen. You were doing the work all those years leading up to it. So kudos to you. And also, thank you for keeping love alive and for keeping hope alive and for being a balcony person for everyone here and the 8 million listeners. Let's give it up. Delilah. And a thank you to Giselle for wonderful questions and interview and for every morning that we get to spend with you.